Hi, I'm Adam Brooks Weber, and I'm glad you're here. This is the fourth and final introductory video for The Merry Mystic, my weekly letter. I'm going to answer the one big question. Why? Why am I doing this, and why should you be interested? It's really because I see a need out there, a spiritual need. In my work as a pastor, and before that in my work as a hospice chaplain, before that in my work as a church musician, I was privileged to hear many people's stories about their spiritual journeys. Of course, the stories are all different, but pretty early on I started to notice a pattern, a kind of hidden kinship of people who had three important things in common with each other. The first was humor, a kind of signature irreverence. Merry mystics are people with a signature irreverence. They laugh at themselves, they laugh at each other, they laugh with God at the patent ridiculousness of the world. These are people who could never be content with a purely pious or grim kind of spirituality, because it wouldn't be authentic for them. The second characteristic that the merry mystics all have in common is an interest in the direct experience of the divine. And here, people's stories are all over the map. I heard people tell me about very, very subtle ways in which God had touched their lives. And I also have heard people tell me stories of visions and hearing voices and seeing angels and out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences and everything you can imagine. And then there are also many people who don't have any such experiences themselves and yet still have this sort of irresistible hunch that there's much more going on in the world than meets the eye, and that God is in the middle of it. The third property that merry mystics all have in common is skepticism, a kind of cheerful questioning of authority. They question the authority of books, and so you won't find merry mystics poring over their Bibles looking for clues about the timing of the end of the world. They question the authority of people, so you won't find merry mystics make good cult members. They don't tend to follow, blindly follow charismatic leaders. And they question the authority of institutions, which makes them a little uncomfortable in churches, but I'll say more about that in just a second. So those three properties, humor, mysticism, and skepticism, define for me this group of people that I came to think of as merry mystics. Now, I'm speaking to you from the perspective of a Christian merry mystic. And let me say again, as I did in the earlier videos, if you're not a Christian, please do stay tuned and share some of your experience, because I think that's very valuable, and I hope after 4 videos of me, you know me well enough to know that I'm not going to try to convert you. But I'm speaking from the perspective of a Christian merry mystic, and one thing that I think 95% of Christian merry mystics that I've spoken with have in common is that they have the same problem. That problem is the church. Church just doesn't work very well for merry mystics. And it's not hard to see why. For humor is not particularly a strong point in churches. Well, you know, there's a little more of it than there was 100 years ago. Oftentimes in Protestant churches, the pastor will start the sermon with a little joke, but that's really just the sugar that makes the medicine go down. It's not fundamentally a welcoming place for people's senses of humor. And churches fail on the point of direct spiritual experience as well, and that's sometimes hard to accept, because you think, where else? You know, if this institution, which is here to help Christians with their spiritual journeys, if this is not the place where we can talk about our spiritual experiences, where could we? But I'm afraid it's true. And churches are very good at conserving and transmitting the received wisdom from the past. We're very good at telling over and over the stories of how God touched people's lives in the past. But we're not so good at helping people wrestle with the way God is doing new and wonderful things in the present. And then, of course, there's the whole authority question. People who are skeptical of authority naturally have some difficulties with institutional churches. Some Mary Mystics I know are church members, and they're struggling to make that work. And others have given up on church. They're done with it. They're following a path as spiritual but not religious seekers. But almost all of them have some degree of trouble with the church, with finding that churches just aren't giving them what they need. Now, it's no accident that the first three videos in this series, we're talking about those first three properties: humor, mysticism, and skepticism. And if you missed those videos, please do go back and take a look at them again. Well, that's what the Mary Mystic is all about. That's why I'm here doing this. I have a strong sense of call. I'm called to help people become more aware of their connections to God. That's why I'm a minister. And I'm called in particular to help Mary Mystics because I am one, and I sympathize with the particular problems of that kind of spiritual path. So one thing that I'm hoping to do with this weekly letter is to give you, fellow Mary Mystics, a little food for your spiritual journey every week. A song, a thought, a spiritual practice, something to help you on the way. But I'll tell you a secret. I have a deeper ambition for the Mary Mystic, and that is that you will help me by asking questions, by sharing your stories online. You can help me and all of us other Mary Mystics with our spiritual journeys, and you can help us to figure out what is it Mary Mystics need. So now please scroll down and leave a comment. My question for you today is, are churches helping you with your journey as a Mary Mystic? If so, how so? And if not, what can we do about that? You know, it's painful for me to admit this because I am a pastor of a local church, the Clare Congregational United Church of Christ in Clare, Michigan. That's where I'm filming this video. This is the Tobacco River in Michigan. A beautiful spot and a beautiful fall day. It's painful for me to admit that churches are not doing what Mary Mystics need. And I'm not sure in my own mind whether the thing that Mary Mystics need is something that ultimately looks anything like a church. So let's see if we can figure that out together. And hey, if you're viewing this video anywhere other than adambrooksweber.com, go over there and you can sign up for this weekly letter and leave a comment. So now, thank you so much for your attention. Your interest in my work really means a lot to me, and I'm deeply grateful. Now may God bless you on whatever path you follow. Bye now.